In the 1965-66 era, Nordson was a $7 million company, which was relatively small, in fact very small. To undertake a expedition, if you would, into the international market was extremely unique for a company of that size. I know personally, having talked with W.G. Nord, Eric's father, and Eric, that they were very strong on the idea that Nordson could never achieve its growth potential by just staying within the confines of North America. And they had very little experience, or we had very little experience in the international market. The only experience they had was through some third-party distribution in Europe and a very small amount in Asia. My guess is at that time that our international sales were somewhere between 1 to 1.5% of our total sales. We just didn't know, quite honestly, what to expect. Eric and the management made the decision to go find out what the opportunity was. I was asked, a gentleman by the name of Jim Thayer, who they had sent over a year earlier, to join him in 1966 to take a look at the marketplace in Europe to see if there was any opportunity beyond third-party distribution that we had with the airless products, with the new hot melt products that we had. I was asked to go over for a period of 2 years and look at that marketplace. Hot melts were basically unknown at that time throughout Europe. We looked at the third-party distribution that we had there, which was basically airless products, and those companies that we had just were not capable of taking hot melt products to a new market which was really not very visible to anyone. Or the management knew if we wanted to sell, we had to provide the same kind of service and backup that we provided in the United States. So it meant establishing basically our own operations, which was a tremendous undertaking at that time financially for the company. So in that regard, I think it was just a tremendous desire to continue the growth of Nordson, the understanding it couldn't be done within the confines of North America. So from that aspect, I think it was extremely unique from a very small company to commit that kind of resource that was necessary to see and develop the opportunity in Europe and in the Far East later on. I went for 2 years. I ended up spending 9 years in Europe and made my home there. It was felt from day one that Americans would not be staying in Europe. They would be used, if any Americans went over, would be used for training and development of the organizations, and they would come back after a certain stint there. And the operations would be run by local nationals because of the culture. And each country had a culture to one degree or another. So I think basic reasoning there was go in, find the right people, get them trained, and let them manage the operations. And in some cases, we brought some of those people to the United States and had them work here for a period of time and then come back over. I think the biggest issue that we dealt with there, over and above the people and places and one thing and another, was the service understanding. In many cases was different here than here in the United States. You needed the people to back up the products once you got it out in the field. I think quite strongly that Ken Daly, who was our vice president marketing manager at that time, and Eric were sitting here today, they would be absolutely amazed and more than pleased in what Nordson's been able to accomplish. My personal feeling is there's darn few companies that could equal Nordson and what they've developed over the years. In fact, one of the things that I think made Eric the proudest that I've ever seen was when we were given the E for Excellence Award by the U.S. government. I had to go to Washington and receive the award with Eric. I think we will continue as the product line expands. I have no doubt the management today is taking advantage of the opportunities everywhere.